Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at using Google Slides to scaffold for remote learning. And this is a really important lesson, I believe, because particularly as a country, we're in lockdown, but there are many reasons across the world why we want to share different learning resources with our students, and making sure they're scaffolded correctly is really helpful. There are many different ways of doing this. We can do it in different tools, such as Google Sites and Google Docs, for example, but I've kind of, through the different process, come to Google Slides and just thought Google Slides is where I land, and I think it does a really good job at scaffolding. So we're going to head over to Google Slides and have a look. I think one of the main reasons I like Google Slides is because on a Google slide, or it'll be the same with PowerPoint or any other slide presentation software you're using, but it chunks the information onto one slide. This means that the students are able to look at that piece of information, go through everything on that slide, and then they know when to progress to the next slide. They're not questioning what's in this section or what's in that section, but they can chunk their work into manageable parts. And so you doing this well will really help them. The other reason I really like Google Slides is just the type of media that you can add into it. It's not exhaustive, but it means that you can integrate a lot of media, which means it's really engaging for your students. So let's have a look at our slides and think about how we're going to do this. I think one thing to remember is to actually keep it simple. What we don't want to do is add too much information and complexity onto a slide. This would just confuse your students and they won't know what to look at, or they'll be straining. If in doubt, rather than cramming too much information onto your slide, then spread it out over 2 slides. So for the sake of time, I'm going to actually use a different resource to populate my slide. I'm going to go over, and you can see it here, it's from Natural Curriculum, and there's an example here of really good scaffolding, and I'm going to use some of this information rather than recreate it. But obviously I encourage you not to plagiarize, to credit where necessary, and adapt it to your students. But obviously, so we're going to look at the manatee. So I'm going to just copy this over. If you're not used to Google Slides, then you can go into layouts and see some different layouts here. So maybe for something like we're doing today, I could choose the title and body. So I can put my title in here, the manatee, and I want to capitalize that. And then I'm going to put my description. So I'm just going to copy the text here that I want them to read. Obviously, you've got to remember not to have too much text. Make sure it's readable in a good size and readable font. So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller and drag that over. Once you've set up one slide, then obviously you can use that as a template for other slides as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add some media into my slide. So if I go to the insert option, I can do images. So I could even go onto the web and search for a manatee, something like that. But because I'm going to put a video in, I don't really need to put the image. So again, I've found a YouTube video. You can do it from YouTube or from your Google Drive. And there's loads of great resources. I was looking at these BBC Earth ones, and you can even add 360 VR videos in. So we've got our video of the manatee. And then we want to add in our challenge. So I'm just going to add in this word challenge. And what I'm going to do, again, one of the good things when you're creating your slides is to think about how you're going to make certain things stand out. So if I put this in here, I've got my word challenge. Obviously I can make that bold, but it could be, for example, that I'm going to make this yellow, so that the children know that whatever is in the yellow box is going to be their action, their challenge. And what I encourage you to do is then use that consistently. Another piece of media I can add and insert audio. So using Screencastify, I created some audio. Let me find it here, my manatee intro. I'm going to add this in. Obviously, if you haven't got Screencastify, there are lots of different options. So, oops, if I'm just gonna having trouble selecting that. Let's move it around. So I'm just going to put that at the top so they can click on that, or in the settings I could put this plays automatically when they start coming on the slide. So already I've got my setup here where I've got my audio, so that's an intro. If I play this now, you'll hear it. Hi kids, welcome to our lesson today. Today we're going to be learning about the manatee. So what I want you to do is... And so I can give my instructions there, you can read through the text, watch the video, do the challenge. And as I said, this is really simple for your students. They know exactly what to do, and then once they've done, they can go on to the next slide. So as I was saying, this slide is really simple, but also really clear. Using audio, so I've got my audio, I've got my video, using some differentiation to make things stand out. So this box stands out from the other information. One thing you can do is add icons as well. So imagine I wanted a page where I wanted them to read. I could create my own icons, but I could search the web. Let's see if I can find one. I'm going to put in read icon. And again, it'd be good to have this consistent maybe across your school. Something like this. That looks like a nice little icon. Insert that. And again, you could have this on your page. Just going to resize that. Put it in somewhere on the page. Obviously, as you can see, the page is getting quite busy now, so do be careful with that. But maybe, again, that shows on the page what you're expecting them to do using icons. So that can be really useful. The other thing you can do with Google Slides is use links to other different resources. So again, if I was going to add a slide, I can add a new slide in here. So we're still doing about the manatee. But this time I'm just going to add, take our manatee quiz. By clicking the quiz icon below. So again, I'm going to insert an icon. And so again, icons are really helpful because, again, if they're consistently used, then the students will know what they're for. Insert this one. And then I'm going to go to my Google form that I created, get my link. This is my manatee quiz, copy that link. So I can make this into a hyperlink if I click on it, go on the insert link icon here, put in the link and click apply. So I could make another box, for example. I'm going to copy that over. Go here for more info. So again, I'm sure you'd use different terminology than I've used today just for the sake of time. But I'm going to put in another icon for information. As I say, you might want to create your own icons to make them consistent. So I'm going to put that in here, and I'm going to go back onto here. I've got my Wikipedia for the manatee, whatever it might be, whatever resource you might want to link to, and click apply. So therefore, if I then shared this slide deck via Google Classroom, for example, they can then just go on here, they can present it if they want. You'll see that will then start reading. Hi kids, welcome to our lesson today. Hi kids, welcome. And they can watch the video, they can do the challenge, then they go to the next. Once that's all done, they go on to the next slide, they can click on the quiz and do the quiz, or they could click on here for more information. So I hope this has been really helpful in giving you a guide to using Google Slides to scaffold your resources for remote learning. But it's not just for remote learning, it's for the classroom as well. So I do encourage you to use it in the classroom. And this will really help your students keep on track, use the multimedia tools to engage them and to support that learning.